Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey, has told ITV News London that his party can see off the threat from reform at next year's council elections in London. Sir Ed, who's also the MP for Kingston, has been speaking to our political correspondent Simon Harris at the Lib Dem conference in Bournemouth. Well, Simon is there for us now. Did he sound at all anxious about reform and Nigel Farage?
Well, Charlie, next May's London Borough elections will be an important test of whether Reform UK can translate that commanding lead in the opinion poll into votes. The Lib Dems currently control 3 of the 32 London boroughs, Kingston, Richmond and Sutton. They've got their eyes on a 4th, Merton, but that's a tall order. When I spoke to Sir Ed Davey, who arrived here at his conference at the head of a marching band, I asked him if he was a serious politician and how worried he was about the threat from Reform UK.
Well, where Liberal Democrats are campaigning, we beat them. Look at the council elections in the last few months across the country, when we've been head-to-head with Reform. We've won 3/4 of those battles. Reform hasn't taken a seat off us, and like taking seats off the other parties. So we're confident we can beat Reform.
You see the polls, you can't dismiss Reform.
Oh, we don't dismiss Reform. I think they're a real threat. I think the threat to our country. The divisive politics of Nigel Farage reminds me of Trump. And I don't think we want Trump's America here, thank you very much.
You seem to be pitching the party towards Middle England, aiming for disgruntled Tory voters, especially in London and the home counties. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, actually, we're getting support from across the political spectrum, actually. There are many disillusioned Labour voters who think that the government hasn't been doing well, and many of them are coming to us. But you're right to say that we won many lifelong Tory voters at recent elections, both national and council, and we think there's more who want to come over.
Are you worried about a newly energised Green Party under a populist leader, Zach Polanski, perhaps appealing to some of those voters of yours who care most about the environment?
Well, listen, who knows what's going to happen, but what I see is in our areas, I think parties who go to the extremes won't win votes. We're a party that actually is in the mainstream of British politics. People like what we say on the issues that matter to them, like health, like the cost of living, like rebuilding our relationship with Europe. And as the only party leader who's been calling out Donald Trump, been leading the argument on Gaza for humanitarian crisis to end, leading on rebuilding our relationship with Europe, we find that many people who are of reasonable, decent views in our country are attracted to what we're saying.
You've been fiercely critical of Thames Water and its record on pollution. You've called for the company to be nationalised. You've got nowhere. That's fallen on deaf ears.
Well, let's see. I think Thames Water isn't doing very well, not only its performance in things like sewage and the bills going up, but they're having real problems getting the investment that they need. I think that it's not off the table. We could see a special administration regime, which is, equivalent of the state having to run it for a period.
Finally, briefly, you've been synonymous with stunts. You arrived at the head of a marching band here in Bournemouth. Are you a serious politician?
I think you don't have to take yourself seriously as long as you take the voters seriously. And I noticed in the general election, not only did we get our best result for over 100 years, but when I was doing these wacky things, the cameras would turn up and I would then be able to make my pitch to them, whether it was on the sewage problems in Windermere, whether it was the issues of children's mental health and our young people's mental health when I was coming down a water slide in Frome. So you can mix the two, and goodness me, politics is pretty dark at the moment with the divisions and the nastiness we see around. I think putting a smile on people's faces is a good thing, as long as you have a really serious message behind it, which Liberal Democrats do.
Tomorrow, Charlene, Sir Ed will get the chance to set out his vision and show his serious side when he makes his big speech here at the conference in Bournemouth.
All right, Simon, thanks very much. But before that, in what could be a bellwether for the future of all county councils, plans to split Surrey County Council in 2 are moving along at pace. Subject to final approval, these 2 councils, arranged by East and West, would, it's argued, save money and offer better value for taxpayers. But not everyone is sure of its merits, as our political correspondent Simon Harris has been finding out.
Surrey has been chosen by the government to be a guinea pig. Ministers are planning the biggest shake-up of local councils in half a century, and this quintessential home county will be in the first wave. People living here who are served by familiar local authorities with names like Elmbridge, Mole Valley and Reigate and Banstead will instead have to get used to new organisations.
It's a little bit confusing. It would depend what the outcome of the reorganisation is going to be, and I don't really understand what that is.
I think it's a good idea, as long as it doesn't get top-heavy with bureaucracy again.
To be honest, I haven't really read that much about it yet, but my feeling is probably that it'll be a done deal and there won't be much we can do about it.
After 100 years, Surrey County Council and 11 district councils will disappear. In their place will be 2 or 3 super councils, known as unitary authorities, and a regional mayor. The county council's Conservative leader likes the idea, but has one serious worry.
That actually we make it worse. I think that by reorganising will be stronger. It will be a stronger local government because there would be more joined up. It will be simpler for residents to understand because they'll only have one council to go to, and it will save money. But all of those things need to happen to make it a success.
For many years, most of Surrey's members of Parliament were Conservative. But at the last election, the Liberal Democrats won 6 parliamentary seats in the county. Here at their party conference in Bournemouth, some of the new MPs expressed concern about the reorganisation of their local councils. Former Army officer Helen Maguire captured Epsom and Ewell from the Tories. She's worried about democracy.
Some of the things that I'm concerned about is, for example, the number of councillors are going to be massively reduced, pretty much halved. So you're going to have fewer councillors representing large areas, and that just means that their casework load is going to increase.
Will Forster won Woking, where 2 years ago the council went bust with debts of £2 billion after disastrous property investments.
What I'm pursuing as Woking's MP is to ensure that any new council isn't overburdened by that debt. I do think the government needs to step in and write off some of Woking's unaffordable debt.
The government believes the new structure will be more efficient and allow more decisions to be taken locally instead of in Whitehall. It's expected to confirm the details of its devolution plan for Surrey, whether it's 2 or 3 councils, next month. Simon Harris, ITV News, Reigate.
Good evening. London's mayor has accused Donald Trump of being racist after the US president's inflammatory claim the capital is now wanting to go under Sharia law under its terrible mayor. Responding today, Sir Sadiq Khan asked why a Muslim mayor had so enraged a world leader based in the White House nearly 4,000 miles away and questioned whether he'd be getting a bill for living rent-free in the president's head. Well, this is the latest row in a long-running feud. Our political correspondent Simon Harris now on Trump versus Khan, the rematch.
Europe is in serious trouble. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe.
Beneath the bouffant hair, does Donald Trump have a squatter inside his head? That was the intriguing suggestion from London's mayor today after the president's latest pop at him during a speech to the United Nations.
I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law.
On a bus in South London, I asked the mayor what he made of it.
I think people will be wondering what it is about this Muslim mayor who leads a liberal, multicultural, successful city. That means I seem to be living rent-free inside Donald Trump's head.
What do you think it is?
Well, it's for others to decide. I'm quite clear. I'm really proud of the progress we're making in this great city. We are the greatest city in the world. One of the reasons I suspect why record numbers of Americans are coming to live in London.
What did you understand by his reference to Sharia law?
It's not for him to explain. I don't understand what he means.
Sharia courts have existed in London for many years. They have no legal powers but can settle family and domestic disputes.
We know that some of those Sharia courts have been involved in covering up domestic abuse and have been involved in misogynistic acts against women. And the very fact that we're having this conversation now is only because President Trump made a comment which stretched the bounds of truth.
I'm not a fan of your mayor.
The president reignited his long-running war of words with the mayor in July during a visit to Scotland.
A nasty person. I think he's a friend of mine.
During last week's state visit in Windsor, Khan accused Trump of fanning the flames of far-right division. In New York today, a London Labour MP echoed the mayor's criticism of the US president.
And I find it pretty rich that these comments have come from a guy whose only view of London is actually what he sees outside of his helicopter window when he's being flown from his private jet to a 5-star hotel. I think he should wind his neck in and stay out of London business.
Well, listen, I think I've got squatters right. The amount of time I spent inside Donald Trump's head. I'm just hoping he doesn't send me an invoice for all the time I spent there.
This is unlikely to be the end of the feud between the two men.
So I'm not sure he's getting an invoice, but the Labour Party have been boasting about the success of the President's state visit. Does this latest spat jeopardise the relationship?
Well, a week ago, the government was patting itself on the back that the state visit ended without any major public eruption in the Trump-Khan feud. It's obviously awkward for a Labour government that the President of the United States, a close ally, has such obvious public disdain for London's Labour mayor. And that was illustrated today when the Cabinet Minister Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, was asked whether she agreed with the mayor that the President was racist, sexist and Islamophobic. And she replied by saying, while the mayor was brilliant, she wasn't going to get into name-calling.
All right, Simon, this could rumble on. Thank you. Good evening. Donald Trump's claims that London is going to bring in Sharia law has been dismissed as nonsense by the Prime Minister. Speaking to ITV News, Sir Keir Starmer also promised to close down the migrant hotel in Epping, but wouldn't say when. In an interview in King's Cross, overlooking his St Pancras constituency, Sir Keir told our political correspondent Simon Harris that when it comes to the US President, he wasn't afraid to disagree with him.
Well, as you saw from the state visit last week, there's lots that the President and I agree on and we work together on. There's a few things we disagree about.
Sharia law being
this is
one of them.
one of them. The idea of the introduction of Sharia law is nonsense. And Sadiq Khan is a very good mayor and actually driving down serious crime. So, as I say, there's a lot I agree with President Trump. We get along. We had a good state visit last week, but on this I disagree with him, and the Sharia law comments were ridiculous.
Will you call him out on it when you next speak to him?
Oh, of course, we have a frank conversation about many things, but I want to express my support for our Mayor Sadiq Khan. We're very proud to have a Muslim mayor in our diverse city.
Do you agree with Sadiq that the President is sexist, racist and Islamophobic?
Well, I'm not going to get drawn into a war of words. I'm absolutely clear on the issues where I agree with the President. We have to work together, of course. It's a very, very important relationship between our two countries. But equally, I'm very proud of our capital city and very proud of our mayor here, who's doing a very good job.
How awkward is the feud between the two men for you?
Oh, look, I mean, we are dealing with global affairs on an ongoing basis with America, our closest ally, on defence, on security, on intelligence. That's where most of my focus is. My team are working with his team the whole time. Very few things we disagree on, but I'm very clear this is one of them.
Your government has been on the back foot over the summer over the migrant crisis. Can you tell people in Epping when you will stop using the Bell Hotel?
Well, as soon as possible. I absolutely get the frustration that people have. We were left with a legacy of tens of thousands of cases that hadn't been processed by the last government. We've ramped up resources to process them as quickly as possible. And where, after that process, it's clear that people have no right to be here, we're removing them. And we've removed now, since we've been in office, 35,000 people. That's the largest number for the best part of 10 years. So I do get the frustration that people have. We want to close all the hotels by the end of this Parliament. I've actually said we need to bring
people are going to have to wait
We need to bring that forward.
ITV News recently had the chance to film a deportation flight involving foreign national offenders, many of them being processed through the immigration centre near Heathrow. Why is it right that they're given bank cards charged with £2,000 of taxpayers' money?
Well, in the case of voluntary returns, all governments have had a scheme that gets people removed. But what we need to do with offenders is get them out of the country as quickly as possible.
Is it right to give them cash?
Well, the deportation issues are a matter really for the Home Office, but we need to work through these cases as quickly as possible.
What do you need to do to convince your MPs you're up to the job?
Well, the big argument that I intend to make at our party conference next week is that we're at a crossroads, a fork in the road, if you like. We have, on the one hand, patriotic national renewal, which is the work of this government, and you can see that in the Pride in Place work that we're doing today, putting money into our communities, giving our communities control over their futures. In London, that's 9 specific bits of money going in with control over what is done with it. Or the alternative, which is a toxic division under reform.
That money allocated today, £51 million for London, £700 million for the North West. More evidence that the government is less inclined to invest in London than in other parts of the country.
No, not at all. This is really important money. It's pride in place money. It's 10 years that this money will be deployed over. And the really important thing is that control over what the money is used for in the 9 places in London is local. So it's not cap in hand to central government where somebody in Whitehall decides what projects are the right projects.
Prime Minister, thank you.
Thank you.
Simon, however you look at it, a tough few days for the PM.
Yes, he talked about his speech to the Labour conference next week being a fork in the road. That's putting it mildly. He's been Prime Minister just over a year. His poll ratings are appalling. The mutterings from the backbenches are getting louder. And whatever he thinks about the Trump-Khan feud, there's another mayor giving him grief. Andy Burnham from Greater Manchester, who started speaking openly today about a leadership challenge. So Sir Keir needs that speech next week to land well. Not just with his MPs, not just with party members, but also with voters.
Yeah. All right, Simon, thank you.